Chasing all different storylines and with the intention to film more, and this global pandemic thing made us stop our production sooner than we would have liked. So we had to kind of turn back and say, okay, of this material that we have, how do we tell the story? It's not exactly what we thought we were chasing, but what can we do? What like tiny moments can we look into? How do we draw the emotion and find the story?
Obviously, we didn't know what was going to happen in this film, and there was no way to like predict what Roderick was going to do. Every 3 weeks, he had a completely different life plan.
The limitation, I think, actually gave us a lot of creative push to make something with what we had. The more sort of gentle human story as opposed to this like soaring, we're going to China travel adventure that we were thinking might happen.
We went into it with like Errol Morris, Vernon, Florida in mind, and then when we met Roderick, I think like Ricky Gervais, like Waiting for Guffman, started like emerging. I've always been really into Ulrich Seidel movies.
Another one that came in was the end was like Herzog Streisand, and then sort of all about the American dream and how does someone trying to come find it, perhaps not find it, but way less desolate than that film.
The whole thing that was fascinating about this was that Roderick was kind of presenting as this cowboy in a place that was like so inappropriate to do that.
Right.
And like, you know, Dalton, Georgia is not like a Western landscape town. We had like some visions of like Rod riding through the sunset with like, you know, Arizona cliffs behind him, but like Dalton, Georgia is not like a Western landscape town. It's like semi-mountainous suburban area in which people wear jeans and hats, and it's like extremely low profile. There's like not an eccentric place on the surface.
The farm scene at the beginning, that's like the strength of Noah as a cinematographer, is he just is super mobile and agile. It is constantly, I'm doing audio, so I'm chasing him around in circles all the time because he runs, it's a 360 shooting, which allows you to cross-cut. And it really feels like there's multiple cameras there, and it gets a ton of coverage, and it's this like really rich coverage that makes it feel like you're getting it from every single angle, and that's literally him dancing around the subjects and constantly looking and
dancing is a strong word.
Moving with grace around the subjects and nimble feet.
A camera being there changes things, and being honest about that is like pretty important to me. And so like those conversations are not manipulated, but like, you know, sometimes it's like I would love if you went and stood in that patch of light.
This particular group of stains would be urine, feces, vomit, and soil. So that's a fun job too.
One of our first characters was the stress testing laboratory, the man who runs it, Lee, and he really quickly told us, but you should meet my son, youngest patent holder in the state of Georgia. He made this glue for Legos. We thought, okay, that's interesting. And people kept telling us about Trip Phillips, the kid that makes the glue. And so we looked at the Shark Tank episode, and Roderick said, I'm going to make a jingle for this. And it kind of kept organically coming into our footage and coming into the story. And so we decided we really needed to meet Trip. And then a few years later, when we came back, we said, you know, how's Trip doing? What's going on? And we learned he had bought this, how did his dad put it? It was like a little businessman's Lexus. And we're like, he's still 15 and he's bought himself this beautiful car. We have to film the car. We have to hear about this.
We wanted to interview him, and it just felt like the car had to be central to it. The only way to do that, because he didn't have a full driver's license yet, was for me to be in the car with him, kind of lying on the ground like a hostage. And so I was kind of in the back seat, like buried on the floor.
The money from Leg Glue helped me buy this car because I didn't have to work for, multiple years. Most people have to work for like 2 years to get even like a cheaper car.
When you do this for years, there's like a complete overload of carpet textile, and like I've become like incredibly drawn to like soothing flat beige carpet, you know, like just like a standard issue beige.
They do these big sample carpets that have every single color you can print, and so they're just these like beautiful multicolored spotted things, and I love those. So I take those home and hammer them up in the walls of my studio.
The more I lived, the more I realized I don't like carpet. Carpet is nasty. Carpet collects dirt. It's hard to clean. It makes your floor warm. That's one of the plus sides of it, but I don't like carpet.
We were really nervous about how people would respond to the film, how the subjects would respond. And obviously like there are moments that are vulnerable in the film, and like we weren't sure how anyone would react to that. And so we set up this like elaborate multi-computer sort of like FaceTime and sort of Zoom link with Roderick in the Philippines, and we both watched him watch the entire film over FaceTime. And my internet is like in Los Angeles too slow to handle anything like this, so I could only see Rod's face, and I had no idea what he was actually seeing. And yeah, he loved it. I mean, he sobbed, he like laughed. At the end of it, I keep saying this, but he like tilted his hat down and obscured his entire face except for his mouth in this like incredibly dramatic way, and he just said, "I saw the highs and the lows, but in between you told the story."